The 9 Years Podcast.
Alright everybody, and welcome to episode 82-0 of the 9 Years Podcast with myself, Nick Draper, and Stuart Deakins. Stu, how good does that sound? Episode 82-0.
Sounds brilliant, mate. Sounds like we can still rejoice from the night before. From the night
before, or 2 nights ago?
Or the 2 nights before. That would tell you how tired we are, Nick.
We're not getting any better at this podcast, are we? Well, thank you very much for joining us today, whether you're doing it on iTunes, YouTube, or 9yrspodcast.org. I'd just like to start this week's show, Stu, by sending a shout-out to long-time Wimbledon fan, Steve Adams. I just want to say, Steve, WrestleMania is coming, and it's going to be amazing. Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and his wife Maurice. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. WWE is amazing, isn't it, Stu? It's the best thing ever. And Steve agrees. Steve Adams loves WWE wrestling.
Steve loved it. Steve loves it, he does.
He does. I saw him once at a WWE show with a big foam finger. I think he was cheering on... I don't know.
I'm sure Steve...
Rey Mysterio, there you go.
I'm sure Steve was as negative as he can be at Wimbledon games, isn't he, bless him? Steve's the most negative person ever.
Well, I think it's going to be very, very hard to be negative on this week's show, isn't it?
I'm sure Steve will find it. I'm sure he will find a fault in the performance, yes, bless him.
I don't think we can this week, Stu. Come on, it was the best midweek game ever at Kings Meadow. Possibly the best game ever at Kings Meadow. Possibly the best game ever on Tuesday night. We're still recovering from it now, aren't we? We are knackered.
Yeah. I think adrenaline, as we were saying, wasn't it, before we started recording? It's adrenaline, I think, and I don't know about you, but I've watched highlights and those goals and a number of times, and it don't get any. Here's way, it gets better each time.
Yes, absolutely. You're not going to tire, as you say, of watching them back. But certainly, as you say, the adrenaline has worn off now. We are both feeling like we really need our beds, and my voice is probably sounding a little bit off today as well. It's very difficult to teach a class of 31 children the day after you've essentially lost your voice by shouting too much. My throat was killing me by the end of today. Probably suggest I should get a new job.
Yeah, I was screaming and shouting, not as much as you were, to be fair, on the Tuesday night game. I just was more conscious that I was still really nervous. I don't know, it's really weird. I just didn't want to lose. Didn't want to lose a game. It was one of those things, it just would have been an absolute travesty if we lost the game. So I was more nervous until, of course, we got a second and that killed it all off.
And then it all killed it all off. So we're going to talk at length, of course, about that fixture, that result on this week's show, but before we do, it is the intro to the show, so we need to get our top 7 lists out of the way. So would you like to begin?
Of course, Ken. So, of course, I always try and keep it topical. So I've gone for, I think it was not a surprise that Lyle Taylor won the man of the match. It was pivotal to everything that happened on Tuesday night. So I've gone for the top 7 Lyle Taylor goals in a Wimbledon shirt.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
Yes, I'm intrigued whether Tuesday night's goal against Milton Keynes counts, or does it not?
It's going to count in my book because it's in my list.
That's what I meant. I wonder, did it include Tuesday night or was it prior to? Okay, fine, right, go. Off you go.
So, first one is Plymouth away 2-1 last season when he scored the goal from a unbelievable straight ball from Jake Reeves and then slide it in a 2-1 win up at there. Accrington away, the 4-3 game in October 2015, the winner when he received the ball from Barry Fuller, turned and shot into the opposite corner. One that's probably off the radar, but I still remember it was a Hartlepool at home in October 2015 when he done a cross shot across the keeper off the post. Northampton away, the 1-1 draw in March 2006 when he ran from a wide left and then slid it to the top corner. Of course, Plymouth, Wembley, 2-0. We all know that. This season, Bury away in the 2-2 game, when Fully come back to our place and we smashed them. That's when he cut inside it, top corner. And of course, I've saved the best for last. I think last night's will go down in folklore history.
Tuesday nights, of course.
Tuesday night, of course. We can tell. It's Tuesday night.
Great list, Stu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Following on from your theme, normally, of course, I would find a wrestling link to my top 7. because WrestleMania is on the horizon, but I thought I can't really do that this week. I've got to link it to something related to Tuesday night, haven't I? So I have gone for my top 7 books featuring the scoreline 2-0 in the title.
Of course you would.
Of course I would. So my list begins with A Tale of 2-0 Cities by Charles Dickens, 2-0 by Anthony Brown. That's the tunnel. Okay, alright, well, anyway. Skeleton 2-0 by Stephen King. A Time 2-0 by John Grisham. Catch 22-0 by Joseph Heller. 2-0 on a Tower by Thomas Hardy. And then finally, a classic, we all love this, 2-0 A Mockingbird by Harper Lee.
Sounds good. I don't know half of those books, but that sounds good.
Alright, yeah, there's 7, so how can you not know half of them?
Well, I recognise our first one was Charles Dickens. I recognise him.
Oh, Stuart Dickens?
Charles Dickens.
There we go. But how do you not know 3.5 of these books?
I'm not really a book person.
Or a maths one by the sound of it. Right, this week's show is, of course, going to be based on everything that happened on Tuesday evening, from the game itself to the arrangements for the opposing visiting fans and officials and everything else that went with it, including media coverage nationally, on social media, and, of course, our very own programme. But, Stu, before we can talk about anything else, we have to get a bit of business out of the way. Northampton Town...
You just made the list!
Because, again, I don't know why they're changing it into an all-white kit to come and play us when they play in, like, claret or pink or whatever that colour is. It doesn't clash with any of our kit. So there was no need for it. I'm fuming at Northampton Town. Aside from the fact we never actually beat them either. In fact, we never beat them.
Well, I just find their home kit a bit boring, though. It's just a boring colour, isn't it? So actually, I didn't mind the white. I know you're right. They shouldn't have to change their kit. But I think their kit's horrible. It's dull.
But then... white. you prefer the all-white kit?
Well, I just prefer not seeing their... I don't know. I remember... I might be wrong, but I remember they wore it for a midweek game down at our place. And it just... Against our kit, which obviously is blue, but it's good to have a contrast. It just felt like the most boring kits ever when they wore theirs. I thought white was all right, but actually you're right. There should be no reason why they can't wear their normal kit, home kit.
Yes, absolutely. Now, many of you will be thinking, if Northampton had to go on the list, surely Milton Keynes had to go on the list, because they changed from their home colours as well. However, Northampton and the other members of my list of change kit shame, including, amongst others, Bradford City and Port Vale, and ourselves, I have to add, those clubs changed from their traditional colours, but I refuse to acknowledge the word tradition with anything to do with Milton Keynes. They have no tradition, they have no history, therefore the colours of which they choose arbitrarily to wear mean nothing. They have no significance whatsoever. So, fine, they can wear whatever colour they want, alright? Don't care. And it didn't really matter to them on the day anyway, did it, really?
No.
But it was still. So they're not, I'm not even going to acknowledge that. So
they don't count.
No, they don't count. Northampton Town do, though. And, we lost to Northampton. How much do we want to talk about that? Not a lot. Other than to say, though, we gave away a penalty late on. It was definitely a penalty. It was definitely a handball. It was right in front of us, wasn't it? From our view in the John Green stand on Saturday.
Yes.
And it all very much felt like we were just waiting to play Milton Keynes on Tuesday night. And this was just a game in the way of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually caught up with Lyle Taylor before Tuesday night's game, actually, and just chatting, having a bit of a laugh with him. And I said, did you enjoy Saturday? A bit flat, wasn't it? He went, it felt like pre-season, didn't it?
That's a great way, yeah. He's hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, he said it was like a pre-season game. I said, yeah, everyone was just waiting for that game. He went, yeah, that game. Bless him. Lyle is the classic. Lyle, I've got a lot of time for Lyle. He's very articulate, but he's also very understated in what he says sometimes. And he must have been, I think, before Tuesday night's game, I think a lot of people were a little bit edgy. What's going to happen? Lyle was laid back. And you can, in the end, you can tell why it was. But yeah, he said it was like a pre-season game in terms of tempo, everything about Saturday, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, we won't spend a great deal of time talking about it, only to say that as a summation or a summary of that game, A lot of possession for us in and around the box, no cutting edge whatsoever. Sounds like, and looks like, we could have had a penalty ourselves for handball prior to their penalty, which wasn't given. Lyle seemed certain that it was handball, but then I'm going to say if there's any one of our players that's going to protest for something without really, do you know what I mean? That might not even be us. It would be Lyle Taylor, and it was him that was giving the linesman a bit of grief. But a few other people said that they thought it was hand as well.
And to be honest with you, I normally look back on the highlights, and obviously the Dons player does a 10-minute highlights. But because the build-up was kicking in for the Tuesday night game, I didn't bother. I think it just shows you we probably started this anyway. Not started it, but we were very similar to what we did on last week's podcast. We didn't really spend much time on the Northampton build-up. So I think we were all guilty of really just bypassing Northampton. And Northampton fans probably thought, really? They've not been beaten at home since October? They can't be all that. Because really we didn't perform, and I think everyone was literally waiting for Tuesday night. So Northampton played us at the right time, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, look, fair play. They kept a clean sheet. They got their goal. They went away with a win. Probably keep them in the division as well next season, I would imagine. And yeah, as you say, there's not really anything we can add to it. Only to say, the only time I can think, well, I'm sure there's been many, many others, all right, but the only other time I can really think of looking forward to a game so much that the game prior to it became a bit of a non-event was going way back, 2002, our first season as AFC Wimbledon, and Feltham at home in a CCL on the Tuesday, or it would have been the Wednesday, wouldn't it, back then, before Wallingford away on the Saturday.
It's funny when you know what? I just laughed my head off when you said it's like Feltham. It's just like before Wallingford. Like Wallingford, we've gone through this before, but it's actually interesting you say that. I don't know if people have seen it, you may not have seen it, but there's an interview with Terry Brown and Dave Anderson, done brilliantly by Rob Cornell on Don's Player, and they were talking about the Chipstead days, and Dave Anderson, when they said League One, these are playing in League One, and yet you generally look shocked that we had got so far so quickly. But yeah, so when you say Feltham and Wallingford, wow, that's going back not that long ago either. No,
in the grand scheme of things, not very long whatsoever. Imagine back then a Football League place that belonged to Milton Keynes was in the second tier of English football at the time, wasn't it? And now
it was.
Now look at us. We were down there in the 9th tier.
And as one of the songs was on Tuesday night, 15 years and you, yeah, we know the rest.
We've done sweet FA. For anyone that's listening, it's going to be really pedantic when I say 9th tier for CCL. Okay, at the time, it was only, level 8 or the 8th tier, but of course it is now the 9th tier, and we got delayed with a reorganisation, with our promotion from the CCL when it happened, which actually didn't take us anywhere close to the Football League, did it?
No, it put us back in the works, but I think we can all safely say now, at the time it was frustrating, but it's given us some great memories.
Absolutely. Right, let's get on to Tuesday night then. I don't know where to begin, there's so much to talk about. Let's start with... so many topics, Stu. Let's start with Lyle Taylor celebrating the opening goal from Jake Reeves. As a great memory of that evening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think when these games, when they come around, I know the background, so people don't want to turn up, and some did, some didn't. But I think if you're in there, you savour certain moments, and I think there's a moment where Lyle gets bundled by fans, obviously celebrating, managed to shake them off, or I think they just basically decided to go celebrate with someone else, and then he literally just faces the Kenflo end, and he was right in front of us, wasn't he? Just as all you could say was just savouring the applause, or he was just savouring every moment. And Lyle Taylor is just so charismatic in terms of the way he can communicate with a crowd, especially us. And magical moment, wasn't it? He just savoured every moment. He just knew how much it meant to all of us. Yeah,
absolutely. I think his reaction to us said it all. I think he was quite calm and, as you say, taking it all in. And then when he saw us and watching us going absolutely mental, he just started joining in as well. Very similar to his celebration for his goal as well, where he sort of runs away as almost as if to say, what do you expect? Of course that's what I'm going to do. And then he sort of realises perhaps the gravitas of the moment.
Yeah, well, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because afterwards they sort of, either when he done man of the match, sort of said, can you remember much about the goal? And he said he couldn't remember much about the goal. And all he can remember is running down the line and then hugging his mum. So obviously that's just a blur. It was literally, I think there was only one player that could have done that on the pitch on Tuesday night. Lyle is just a big game player. I think he proved that again on Tuesday. But Yeah, his celebration, and if people have not seen it, I'll be amazed. But on the Instagram, the Wimbledon Instagram, they've done a 14-second shot of him from a camera angle on the side, and it's just, I don't know if you've seen that, Nick, yet, but it brings it all home. It's magical.
I saw it on the train home, and I couldn't stop watching it. Watched it over and over again. It's just perfect in every single way, the way that's been shot and put together in the end.
It's just brilliant. I think it's been done by Stuart Butcher, who's down in that corner, who's the photographer for Wimbledon. And I don't know how he's put it together, but it's just, I've shown people today, of course, I can't stop gloating because we won. But they've seen that and they've just all gone, wow. It's, some great bit of work, isn't it?
It is, and what I love about it is as he's running away in front of the Chemflow end, sorry, I'm always going to call it the Tempest end, but, you know.
Yes.
You see the smoke from the pyro behind him as well, just that blue plume of smoke as he's running away, which just adds to the whole effect. It's just such a beautiful photograph, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to mention what a great job the police and sniffer dogs did in making sure no pyrotechnics got into the stadium. I should laugh, should I? You just remind me, my fiancée Lorraine, she said to me, obviously they had sniffer dogs, didn't they? So they said, be careful what substances you bring in. But one of the people, she sits in the disabled area with her dad, and she said one of the people in there suffers from a certain condition that he sometimes has marijuana for, and had loads of it on him. She walks straight past the sniffer dogs. Oh, wow.
So, I don't know, it just made me chuckle when we all said, wow, how have they got that in? But I don't know, it's something about timings at the moment, isn't it? You know, we had the banner that was opened up for a certain person from Charlton, and then we scored a goal, and then we had a flare, or what do they call them now? They call them flares? Smoke bombs? What do they call them?
I'd call it a flare. Yeah,
and it's just, you're right, it just made for such a great picture, didn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Timing is just amazing. It's all meant to be.
It's all meant to be. It's like winning 2-0 on our 82nd episode, so we can do a nice, clever tie-in with the number 2. It was perfect. It would have only been better if we'd got it. If we'd have got it 3-0, we could have made some sort of symbolic link maybe to the 3-man commission. But we're being greedy.
That'll be next season.
Potentially. In terms of the game itself, I have to be very honest. When it comes to games like that, okay, actually, Northampton and then Milton Keynes on Tuesday are a great case study in complete opposites. Whereas Saturday against Northampton, we sat in the John Green stand, and I could quite happily sit and watch the game fairly relaxed and fairly dispassionately, if I'm being honest, and sort of try and judge formations, tactics, get an idea of what's happening and what tactical changes managers might make, and so on and so on. Milton Keynes, if you were to ask me about tactics, formations, players, lineups, opposition, whatever it is, I wouldn't have a clue, because those sorts of games I'm not watching. I'm really not following it with that eye on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My head is not in that mode. I'm just following every single kick of the football and praying it goes our way, whether it be us keeping possession or getting a tackle in or block. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's very difficult for me to judge the tactics. On the whole, I would say, and you'll probably agree with me, and everyone will do watching it, of course in the first half you judged it was a bit cagey and a bit flat and whatever, and then we just came out in the second half and we looked like the team that wanted to go out there and win the game.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I know you say you get caught up in the emotion of it. I still tend to look at tactically, because I still try and look at sometimes what I get frustrated if we don't do things that we're good at, and the things that we're good at is tempo, linking into Tom Elliott. So our game basically relies on Tom Elliott putting himself about, linking the play, getting players around him, but also tempo. Our game without a tempo, it just doesn't work, because we just don't get around the ball enough to keep it, and that's what we weren't doing. We sort of had nice possession, went to a 4-3-3, but it felt like, again, it's one of those things of. And we didn't know whether the players had been advised, be careful on your tackles. But there was no 50-50s. There was nothing to light up. The crowd was there for them, in terms of, for us, the crowd was willing them to win. The crowd just needed something to make a spark, wasn't it? And it just felt like we just didn't, whether we didn't have that belief or we were being cagey, but it felt very cagey first half. But the changes on the second half really were brilliant, and Neil Ardley and the management team deserve a lot of credit for that.
Without wishing to be negative, but let's give a balanced view as much as we can for this particular fixture. When you say about you get frustrated when we're not doing things that we should do well, this is going to be perhaps a bone of contention for some people. Set pieces.
Yeah, shocking.
Start of the second half, even though we came out and we were looking to take the game to it, before we actually scored, I was getting the sense that we weren't going to score and we were going to have a very frustrating evening because the amount of set pieces, free kicks, corners we got, we wasted so many. In fact, pretty much every single one. And we began to think, is this going to happen for us tonight? Did we miss George Frankham?
Yeah, we did. Well, we missed a set piece, though, didn't we? In terms of Dean Parrott. On that, I think the thing is that we identified that the actual when we weren't getting it to Tom and it wasn't really sticking, we then went down the sides, and we obviously knew that they had a left back suspended, so they had a replacement left back in who Lyle Taylor gave a torrid time to, and we won a lot of free kicks wide. Andy Bartshire wasn't as great first half, second half a lot better, but we won a lot of free kicks on the air on the side, so balls in. But it's funny because we had the George Frankham laughter, don't we, and stuff, and he's everyone's favourite person to not like sometimes, which we debate. But I do hear that sometimes saying, well, if George gets enough crosses, then eventually we can get one on. Well, we had enough free kicks in that first and second half, and we didn't do much with them. So I think sometimes we can be a little bit short-sighted, but our delivery wasn't great. And the noticeable thing is when Dean Parrott come on, you and I both called it. He took the first corner, and all of a sudden we looked dangerous from a set piece for the first time all night. Yeah,
I mean, it was clear as day, wasn't it? And we had a variety of set piece takers on Tuesday, and every single one just seemed to be overhit or underhit, not quite getting it right. But anyway, that is very churlish, I suppose, as a moan on the whole. Talk about the tactics then. Was it really the key? Was Lyle really the key then? Was everything about Lyle, or was there other period players that stepped up on the night and really drove us on? We're looking at perhaps in the midfield area, maybe.
There's sometimes with performances you capture the people that make impacts. So the impact was your Jake Reeves and your Lyle Taylor. Lyle Taylor gets an assist and he gets a goal, man of the match, dead cert. But I felt there was an unsung hero last night in Danny Bourman, who his experience just. Danny Bourman does a lot of work off the ball, so he doesn't look effective. But the harassing he did in the first half and second half, and also especially when we squeezed up the play in the second half, he was just a superb. And really, it was one of those I kept saying to you, do we take Danny Bourman off and go for a more? The more the game went, it looked like we needed to be a bit more attacking minded and push the issue, but it probably meant sacrificing Danny Bourman because of the role he plays. We probably need to be braver, but I thought he was brilliantly last night. But yeah, I don't think there was anyone that had a bad game. I thought once we pushed up and we squeezed the play, I was impressed with Jonathan Mees last night. I thought he gave Lyle the opportunity to get isolated with his left back because Jonathan Mees kept pushing on, in the end gave him headaches.
And was there an unsung hero as well in James Shea?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it back. I've seen the save he makes from their player at 2-0, and it's just a brilliant save. Yes, it hits him. People can say, "Oh, he got a bit lucky." Position-wise, you've got to react. You've got to be in the areas. You've got to, the keepers, they very much practice their angles and where to be, and he's at the right place. And it's just an excellent save because at 2-1, that would have been what I think 15 to go, 10 to go at 2-1. That would have been a shaky time, wouldn't it? But in the end, it killed the game off.
And we mentioned many times the show from the earlier fixture with them up in Milton Keynes about how he sensed that some of our players perhaps froze a little bit in terms of worrying about making a mistake in position and things like that. Do we think the atmosphere on the evening on Tuesday night caused our visitors to freeze up just a little bit?
I just think that if we're going to look at tactics and then we give a balanced view, I'm not really going to because I don't like them. So I don't think so. I just think they're rubbish. If I'm being truthful, I don't think they're that great. Their form suggests they're not very good. I think Paul Robinson says very much in his Don's player interview that the players, that night there was your fans were within touching distance. They're literally on the other side of the advertising board. You can hear everything they're going to say. So I think it gave us the extra 10%. And I think realistically, they didn't want to know. Once we got the first goal, they didn't want to know, and there was no leaders for there. If I'm going to be very subjective in terms of both teams, they look a poor side. They don't look to me to have any leaders at all. I didn't see anyone on their team really look like a captain. I couldn't tell you who their captain was. not that I cared too much, but I couldn't really tell you who their captain was. For the teams that we've seen from their place, I don't know if you agree with me, I think that's the worst team I've seen.
Yeah, there's nothing about them.
Nothing at all. I couldn't think of any players that stood out. There was one player that stood out, which was Barnes, I think, as a youngster. Not surprised, they produce good kids. Their academy is very good. There's no denying that. They do very well with that. But I couldn't really, after that, tell you who was any good. And in a way, if there was 20 games left in the season, I would say they do very well to stay up. As it is, I think they stay up. And for me, I don't know about you, but that game on Tuesday night, of course, had the atmosphere. I've never known atmosphere at Kingsmeadow like that. And I don't want them to get relegated because I want to do exactly the same to them again next season.
Yeah, it will happen again. I'm not sure it will have quite the same atmosphere as the first time. The first time is always a little bit different. But from our position in the Kenflo end, very, very loud, singing pretty much consistently throughout the evening. I am told, and I'm sure you have been as well, Stu, by people in other areas of the ground, that the noise was generated around the whole stadium. In the Kenflo end, it's very difficult to judge that sometimes because the noise almost seems to bounce up and stay in.
Yeah.
And you can never ever really hear the opposition fans. As we know from sitting down the side, the audio, the acoustics are completely different, aren't they? And then you can get more of a feel of it. From where we are last night, we can't really judge what's happening around us, but I am told, as I'm sure you have, it was electric around the whole stadium and it was just a wall of noise. Yeah,
you could just sense it sometimes. I think, you're right, the sound doesn't travel, but then you can visually see things, can't you? So visually, I've never seen the main... visually see things. You can
visually see things.
I did say it, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
But what I mean by it is that...
I think we know what you mean.
With your eyes, you can see people standing up. So I've not seen the main stand look that excited. I don't think I've ever seen them look that excited. I
don't think they've ever had to stand up as many times as they did last night.
No, I mean, we were chatting obviously with your brother and your dad, and your dad said that your brother Chris, kept standing up. That's the reason why we actually want to try and sit down for the game because, you rightly said you want to be able to scream and shout and do everything you want to do, and we did that in abundance, didn't we? Really, but yeah, it was just. Yeah, I still think back about it now, and I must admit, I have a massive smile on my face, and I think it was nothing that we do against them is going to really change anything. Really, it's not going to make it any better, I don't believe. But I think one of the things that I said last night, and I think a few people echoed it, was that it was satisfying. In a way, it was really nice, but it just was satisfying to do that to them, to make it awkward for them. And also, of course, when we found out that a few particular people from that club were keen to make sure they made an appearance when really they had no need to.
It's very interesting to say that. There's 2 points we've got to pick up on there. The first one I'll say is about it was very satisfying winning last night. During the first half, when it was all becoming a little bit flat on the field and stuff like that, the thought did occur to me that in reality, nothing, like you say, nothing's going to change what happens or is going to remove that feeling that we have for them. And at the minute, as much as we joked earlier about adrenaline wearing off and starting to feel tired, the actual lift from beating them and seeing them and getting that blow against them does feel fantastic. But you know that in a not very long time in the future, that of course we're still going to have those feelings of hatred and angst against them. And I don't think anything's going to get rid of that feeling other than them going out of business. Do you know what I mean? You have these blows, but really you want that, I don't know, that almost visceral, I don't know, reaction to them to get it out of our systems. And although last night was great to celebrate and get that a little bit out of our system, it's never going to get rid of it completely. And this club in particular, the only way to do that is for them to go out of business, I think.
Yeah, or just have a painful death.
Or just have a painful death, yeah.
In a football sense, because I said, when we were just discussing it, it's the worst team I've seen from them, and I have no time at all for them, but I have because I want them to do so badly. I do obviously I have kept an eye on their team because, of course, I've said to you before, some people won't watch their games. I watch their games because I so desperately want them to lose. But I also have an idea of the strengths that they've had, and they've had some good teams with the Dele Allis of the world and stuff like that. But I looked at that team last night and I wondered to myself what budget is being spent in that team, because it's not very good. You've got a goalkeeper that can't catch a cold at the moment. He's a bit stale. I looked through their back line, no leadership. Their midfield, Upson's normally quite a good player for them, but again, I thought he was average, didn't really want to get involved. Up front, you've got Adard, who's been at Rotherham. Should be a bit better than what he is. But I just looked through that and I thought, what budget is being spent on that? Because I don't believe much has been spent. So is it suggest that the rumours that Little Winkle is gradually taking the money out? Because that's great, because they've gone from being relegated from the Championship and nearly falling for nearly doing a Yeovil. They're no bigger than Yeovil, no bigger than any club really. Anyway. But I think it'd be great if they have another rubbish season next year. It'd be music to my ears.
Audio that you can hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Not visually.
No, not visually. That wouldn't make any sense. Pete Winkleman, you mentioned there, and you mentioned it earlier, he was in attendance. When we saw that photograph, certainly when I saw that photograph of him smiling, gurning away in the away end, I wanted to smash his face in. I'm not going to lie.
I know, mate. You did. You had a bit of anger in you. You're very mild, unless it's Watford. And then I don't think I've seen that from you for a little while. It really stressed you, didn't it? Really, in that.
I felt like we were being taunted at our home stadium by him doing that, by him actually being there and having the picture taken of him smiling away as if he's having a bit of a laugh and a joke and a jolly. It's like, no. Someone needs to actually teach you a bit of a lesson here, Mr. Winkleman. And beating you 2-0 is great, but not really the lesson I think I want to be handing out to him in particular. I think we need a stronger message. I probably shouldn't be saying these things.
It did raise it. You're right. I won't say I didn't think exactly like you did. I saw the picture and I just had disgust. I was like, and my first thing is he's goading us. He's basically got behind the enemy lines as such, and he's made sure someone's taken a selfie who he knows has a good following from fellow fans and who's been in the Twitter account in question has had and to be fair to that individual, hasn't been as downright abusive as their other customers are, but he basically knew that person was going to retweet it and it was going to find its way to people. And we discussed as a 9-year podcast team, should we retweet that, because we didn't know whether we went to inflame anything, and we chose not to in the end. But it was goading. It was like, you got behind enemy lines and you made sure someone took a selfie just to prove that you got in there. And that's the attention-seeking media person that he is.
All from the safety of his position, surrounded by 5 bodyguards as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't turn up without bodyguards, would you?
No, what an absolute one anyway. Certainly Mr. Lewington somehow managed to wheedle his way into the away end as well to watch the game from there. So, unlucky guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Watching Sky Sports News prior to kick-off and being taken through the tour of the opposition's entrance into Kings Meadow seemed like something out of a book, and not a particularly good book. Certainly not Bravo 2-0 by Andy McNabb, although probably similar to that sort of SAS-style mission they had to go on to get into the stadium. I have to say, if you are a Milton Keynes fan that travelled on Tuesday night, that must have been the most horrendous experience of your life, because you are locked down for however many hours, told where you have to go, given no freedom whatsoever, and then into a very hostile, yet friendly, atmosphere at Kings Meadow.
Do you know what's interesting though, right? Watching the Sky Sports coverage, I've not actually seen all that. It was like being taken to a different part of the ground. I thought it'd just been built. I've not seen all the away entries. I've not been down. I've had no need to.
No, I agree. Sorry. No, I was looking at it, trying to figure out the geography and everything. I couldn't work it out at all.
It was really weird, wasn't it? Because we've got no need to go down there. We know about it, but I suppose the way the Kings Meadow is built, and obviously the access areas, for most now what we class not normal grounds, that's probably being derogatory, but for most modern stadiums, they're built with access, brilliant access. This is a ground that is it's amazing sometimes that you can have an entrance like that. And yeah, you know what? It must have been horrendous. Good. I'm pleased it was. The funny thing is that the greatest thing about Tuesday night was the fact that most teams, their fans can leave. When your team's playing really badly, at 2-0 you can leave. They couldn't. It was quite funny.
And nor could they leave for the entirety of our post-match lap of honour around the stadium. And the best thing was, because we stayed and watched everything until the very end, didn't we? And it got to the end, and just as our players were getting to the tunnel and heading down the tunnel, that's when the away fans were ushered out. I thought, perfect.
It was interesting, wasn't it? Because I think, Eric, and I'm not saying Eric planned all that, but Eric was very honest and said, well, we can't put more than 10 characters on the scoreboard. We all know we can. But we did certain things on Tuesday night with the programme, with the scoreboard, things like that in a way just rubbed their nose in it. And we got little points that maybe, I know the media picks up on the scoreboard. I know that was made a big deal for a scoreboard that they couldn't see and never changed from 0 or 9. So it didn't mean much to them, did it really? But that was great. And it was good that we actually celebrated that way. Because you could tell in that moment when they all got together at the end of the game that they drilled down the game and saying it's just another 3 points. It's, not to get involved in emotion, but you could tell actually there's a lot of pressure on our guys Tuesday night. But the lap of honour was great. I found it highly amusing because they had to take all our abuse, depressed, not being able to go anywhere. Great fun.
Absolutely. Fantastic evening all around. As a club, we got it absolutely spot on in every single way, from the organisation to our fans and our behaviour on the evening, which is exactly what we were aiming for. I think Eric was brilliant in his post-match interviews where he said, yeah, they gave them some grief and some abuse from the terraces, and I encouraged them to do that, but no more than that. And that's exactly what it was. And the brilliant thing is, if you watch that Eric interview back, by the way, because the football staff, Neil and Lyle and whoever else was talking to the media, they obviously have to keep a lid on these things. They're very well trained to make sure they don't say anything that would perhaps potentially get them into trouble. But Eric's interview left you in no doubt the contempt we have for that football club without actually saying anything that's going to get anyone into trouble.
Yeah, and I think when the actual journalist then tried to talk about them, he very quickly said, I'm not going to talk about them. It's not about them. I'm not going to give them any. Very much case, it wasn't their night. There's nothing about the night that they deserved to be part of. The only thing they deserved to be part of, they turned up to be beat 2-0 and then smashed back on to the M1. But yeah, it was when he said he encouraged that. It was like, you know what Eric's like. Eric doesn't get too excited. He never does. But you sense there was a little bit of. I think he took a moment to think, do you know what? Yes, it was a difficult couple of weeks, I'd imagine, for them. No one wanted this game to happen. But the club did get it right. Our reputation, as Neil Hardy said, we kept our reputation.
Yeah, absolutely intact. And I think that's reflected in all the media coverage of the game, looking round on TV, social media, and in newspapers as well. If you remember when we lost to them earlier in the season, there was a lot of build-up to that game, if you remember, on TV, and Sky were all over it. And then at full time after we'd lost, didn't hear a thing, which was proof to me that the media were really on our side and the story they want to tell is of us, and they're not interested in the other lot and what they do. I think that's been reflected today, especially if you look at the Evening Standard. I've never seen anything like it. So we've got a double-page spread on the inside front cover. Inside front cover? That's the lie. Inside back cover.
Have you really?
Yeah. Emotions run high as Real Dons see off bitter rivals. Now, we can argue about the use of the word rivals. Huge picture of Lyle Taylor, pictures of our fans, picture of the programme cover, big long article all about us, and making sure it gets the point in. These were two clubs that 15 years ago couldn't be much further apart in the football spectrum.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because I must say, I looked at a few today, but I did notice one that was from their local press, their local citizen paper, that is very pro anything to do with franchise, and it made me chuckle of how bitter they are, because it couldn't mention the name Dons anymore in an article of no more than, I don't know, 3 or 4 paragraphs. It couldn't mention the name Dons in reference to them anymore. And then it had a subtle thing, bad night, but they had a celebration with their team parading around the ground. They're trying to make it out as if that was our cup final. It wasn't really. Our cup final was back at Wembley in May, wasn't it? But it's interesting the insults that come from that part of the neck of the woods. It used to be all about pub team. That pub team down the road. Didn't really hear that much now. I don't think they feel too favourable being beaten by a pub team anymore, do they? Not
by a pub team from Kingston, no. That's backfired on them slightly, hasn't it?
It has, and now it's about how we it's their cup final and stuff like that. I think they're running out of things. They're now being embarrassed completely by us, and that's how I put it. It's embarrassing now for them because we are now just basically passing them make them look embarrassing to everything. And you're right, the press, yeah, you're spot on. The press wanted us to win. That's what it was all about, really. The press, and you can tell then what real football fans think about what really happened, and no one sticks up for them. No one really sticks. Yes, and don't get me wrong, people do praise their academy and stuff like that, and I've seen their academy, and they do produce some really good players. But they could have done that under Milton Keynes City. We all know that, and they deserve nothing at all from the press.
No, absolutely. I think the final word just has to be said. Well done to our fans again. Fantastic atmosphere. Hostile, intimidating without crossing that line. And Neil Ardley just again getting it spot on the evening, which links us nicely, Stu, to our man of the match vote for this game. I think we did one for Northampton, but I'm not going to bother with that now. Forget about that. That was gone. Done. 209 votes at time of recording for our man of the match poll with Milton Keynes. Far and away the largest number we've ever had. And the four options were Lar Taylor, Jake Reeves, Neil Ardley, and, poignantly, football. Guess who's won that vote, Stu?
Oh, football?
Football. 49% of the vote. Lyle, 23%, Reeves, 16%, and Neil Ardley, 12%. But football most certainly was the winner on Tuesday night. I think we can all agree. Some 3-word reports. And trying to load these... Doesn't want to load. Here we go. Got them. Got one here, Stu, from, I don't know if you... Who's this? Lorraine Clements? Ring any bells? No, you've died. Stu is no longer with us, so I'm going to carry on with this show by myself. Who knows what's going on down his end of the phone? But Lorraine Clements went for @Lorraine Clems. Thieves never prosper.
I'm still here. You can tell I'm very, very tired. I actually put my mute button on.
I know, and do you know what? That's why I kept on talking, because I knew any moment, if I let you know that I couldn't hear you, you'd go, I must have got on mute.
Well, I was just going to say, yes, I do know that lady, and that name's going to change very soon, so I don't think she's going to be called that much longer.
What's Lorraine going to change her name to?
Jane? Oh, not her first name.
Oh, right, sorry.
But yeah, sorry about that. I had the mute button on.
Okay. What did we say about professional?
Oh, this is probably the worst occasion for us to record a podcast where we are absolutely hanging for the night before.
Yeah, I don't think we can tell much difference from most weeks, to be honest with you. There are loads of 3-words reports. I don't want to miss any out. I'm going to have to. I can't get them all out, but so to speak. Steve Dowse, @Mr. Dowse. Rather enjoyed that. Very, very nice. @RayGeo3. Historic Glorious Justice. I like this one from Justadon, @Justadon88. Ardley, any opposition? Well, Ardley, any opposition? It works on 2 levels. Very, very clever. I like that one. And any others? I can see there's so many, Stu. Proud of us from Dan @AFCW Dan. But if you go for the hashtag Don's 3-word report, you'll get several others, including from my brother Chris Draper @CDrape01, Womble's point proved. Mike Overill @Mike_Overill, did ourselves proud. We did indeed. So thank you very much for all those 3-word reports. Again, look for the hashtag. You can read many, many others for them. Mention my brother Chris there, and Paul Raymond and George Jones and Mark Hendrick, all on the podcast team. A sterling job on social media over the past week. Stu, you will have a better hold or grasp of the numbers than I will. But it was some ridiculously crazy amount of interactions and impressions and everything we got over the course of last Thursday, the Fans Forum, and then obviously Tuesday night.
Yeah, our stats have been amazing, actually. So I'm looking, if we think back from the Fans Forum, which was Thursday night, which we covered, and we've had some really nice comments about that, so thank you. But I'm just looking here, actually, the latest stats, we've had over about 270,000 impressions since last Thursday. So an impression is basically when someone reads it, it appears on their Twitter feed. So 270,000, and we think we've increased our following by about 70 or 80 this week. I don't know about you, but my phone's been like a Christmas tree, flashing all the time and stuff like that. So we broke the 1,000 followers on Twitter. But we've had an amazing time. And yeah, I'd like to say thank you to all the podcast team, because it has been strenuous work, but rewarding. And like I say, the win on Tuesday night sort of tops up all the work we put in over the last couple of days.
Absolutely. And the faces of every member of the podcast team that I saw on Tuesday night, along with every single other Wimbledon face, will, I should say, live long in the memory.
Yes.
Should we do something a bit different now?
Cool. Yes.
What should we do? Should we do a 2-word tango?
Yes, because I lost last week.
Oh, yeah. So what did we lose? What did you lose on last week? 88 Cup final, was it? Or
That's
like
the one. Yes.
Now, I did see, I think, somebody, it might have been David Peters again, that tweeted us. I apologise, David, if it was you and I've forgotten, or if it wasn't you and it's somebody else. Please correct me. I think you mentioned something about teams that have played in green or something like that.
Oh, crikey.
Do you think we can... Is that a goer? Or between us, do you think we've got any chance or hope in hell of doing that?
No, I don't think so. I can only think of 1, 2, 3...
Do you know what? If you include foreign teams and international teams, we might have a chance with it.
Okay, we include all that then, yeah, let's go for it.
And it can be just any green. So if
Any
it has
green?
green stripes, then we can include them. Yeah?
So it has a green any part. It has green in any part of their kit.
Within reason. If it's stripes or halves or something, not if it's got like yellow. Not if it's got not yellow, because that's not green, is it? That's yellow. If it has like green trim, then no. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
like Slovenia, I think one of the two, Slovenia or Slovakia. I think it's Slovenia. They have like green trim.
The problem is,
kit,
this might be like we might have to do like what they're going to bring in football like next season, like the video ref, because realistically, if you might be blagging, I might not know if you're right or wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can challenge at the end of it. If there's one we've chucked in there that we want to challenge, we can challenge it and review it. Shall we do that?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Okay. You normally go. Should I go first this time?
You go first because I'm still thinking.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
You gotta listen out for this guy. He's a famous name, but don't flop. It's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity 2-word tango.
Rail Betis.
Cameroon.
The Republic of Ireland.
Yeovil Town.
Northern Ireland.
Republic of Ireland.
Oh, we've already done it.
Have we?
Yeah, I said Republic of Ireland.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I said both Republic, and then the next one I went for Northern Ireland.
Oh.
You
I wasn't really listening.
I realised that.
I thought that's cool because you're probably thinking of Republic of Ireland to do that next, but you did it the other way around. That's quite rubbish, isn't it? Shall I have another go?
Yeah. Do we want to do green teams in green again?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
And we can use the same ones we just used now because I might listen a bit better.
You might do what? Sorry.
I might.
Oh, so close. So close.
Oh dear! If you're going to catch me, you're going to catch me on nights like this. But I'm quite proud of myself that I didn't fall for that.
Well, you pretty much did until he did.
Yeah,
I know. Oh. Can you hear an echo in here, by the way, Stu?
Let's go.
You gotta listen out for this guy. He's a famous name, but don't flop. It's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity 2-word tango.
Rail Betis.
Beautiful goal.
The Republic of Ireland.
Northern Islands.
Cameroon.
Norwich City.
Yeovil Town.
West Germany.
Oh, Celtic. Yeah.
Wimbledon. Oh, I can't believe the one team that I should use as my. Yeah, I lost again, did I?
You did.
That was a bad one,
If
though.
we
I like
listen
that.
back, did you say, what was your first one that you said?
I said Plymouth Argyle.
That was it, that's what I was just checking we hadn't said Celtic before I said it, because I couldn't remember, but I think I got away with it.
Other teams that play in green. I'm trying to even think, like...
Hibernian would have been the one I'd have gone for next.
Don't Sunderland have a green kit as well? Crikey, away kit is green this year, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but I was going on home kits, because green kits, we could have been there all night.
See, I thought we were going to do away kits as well.
Oh, that would have been interesting. Yeah, because West Germany actually and ahed about that. I thought...
Is the away kit?
Yeah, it is. Wasn't East... Oh, I don't know, actually.
Same thing, isn't it?
Oh, well. Anyway, Norwich City...
I'm saying that we got Mark...
touch and go.
I'm saying that we got Mark Hedrick as a German, bless him. I can't be horrible about the Germans now.
There's probably a German team that play in green. Oh, Wolfsburg, I suppose, would count, would it?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah,
What a fascinating topic this is for all of the listeners in podcast land.
Anyway, I lost again.
What about Forest Green? Didn't they change their kit to being green now?
Yes.
They did, didn't they? They used to be black and white, and then they changed it to black and green, didn't they? Or something like that.
Yeah. What's the point of having forest green in your name and not in a green kit? It seems stupid.
Chipstead.
If we're going to go to non-league, then crikey, we'd be there all the time, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Anyway, let's do another game. Let's go straight into Poleon Go.
Cool. Happy days.
With some wrestling music to start us off again this week. So, hi, Steve Adams again. More wrestling. Here we go.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Right. It's going to be an interesting game this week, I think. I think I should come clean, so to speak, to begin with, and tell you, Stu, that there's a possibility that this ground name could be known as two different things. Now, in previous years, before they moved to the London Stadium, you're probably thinking Upton Park and the Bowling Ground, or the Boleyn Ground, or however you want to say it. But it doesn't count anymore because it's no longer there. It no longer exists. So just bear that in mind, okay?
Okay, it's confusing me even more, but yes, thank you.
All right, so Don Poleon, with his cryptic clue to begin with, has said he is travelling to the stadium because he is hoping to meet Prince George. That's a great cryptic clue. The more I think about that clue, I'm patting myself on the back in a Barry Horowitz-esque fashion.
Prince George. I think that's like Burton Albion.
No. What was the link there with Burton Albion?
Well, actually, there's no link actually, but they do actually train at the England training ground, don't they? Which is the
St George's Park.
Yeah, but then that would have been the name of the ground. But I just thought you might have been trying to be very, very clever, and I thought I'd try and be clever back.
It's a cryptic clue. It could have worked, but unfortunately, no, it's not Burton Albion. Right. So moving on. And Dom says that the team, the home side he's gone to watch, are performing well in their game, but they appear to be now on a bit of a slippery slope in the second half.
Slope. Because Underhill used to have a slope. That's Barnet. You can't be that.
We did Barnet the other week, didn't we?
We did. No, I don't know.
No? Okay. One last clue then, before the anagrams. It's raining, so in the away end, Dom is getting soaked to the bone.
Slippery slope. I don't know if I'm reading too much into Yeovil Town.
Oh, it would have been good as well because they're playing green, but no. So do you want the anagrams?
Yes, but I don't think it's even going to make any best for me. Let's go for it.
Well, there are two, because there are potentially two names that you'll know the stadium as, which is why the first clue is such a genius clue. I'm so impressed with that first clue. Anyway, so the first name of this ground would be an anagram of Cornrow Dung. Cornrow Dung. Does that help you in any way whatsoever?
Yeah, I think of Carrow Road.
No, nearly. No, sadly not. Next ground, next anagram.
Yeah.
So politically correct, this one. AIDS Thor Mum.
How am I supposed to guess that? I can't stop laughing at that. Nah, I'm done. I can't think of anything.
No? Not even a ground with a slope on the pitch that doesn't have a roof on the away end?
I can't really think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, put me out of misery. I can't think this one.
It was Accrington Stanley.
Oh, crikey. Which is known as the... Oh, what else is it known as? Forgotten what it actually was. Yeah, you're right. It's got two names. Yeah, it is known as... I can't think one of the names actually now, but...
It is currently apparently known as the Wham Stadium.
That's it,
but previously known as the Crown Ground.
Crown Ground, because it's got the Crown Pub on it.
Therefore, hoping to meet Prince George, not only because Prince and Crown and that link, but also George Michael, Wham, the Wham Stadium.
You've done well with this one. You know what? I'd be interested. I did have... It's interesting. Go on.
I think I'm going to say what you're going to say. People did contact us last week to say if they got Poleon Go and said which clues they got it on. A few people got it on the second or the third.
See, I was chatting to a few people on Tuesday actually who I hadn't seen for a little while because I don't really stand up too much, and they were like, "It's a good podcast," which again is nice feedback. And I went, "Really? How did you get on Poleon Go last week?" And they went, "Oh no, that was really tough, wasn't it? This last week?" And I'm like, "Thank you." Thank you. Because I hear people who go to me, "Oh, I've got it easy, Stu. Easy. Of course it's easy when you know it."
It is. What was it last week? Was it Reading? It was the library. Yeah, because somebody actually contacted us and thought it was Yeovil because Hewish Park, hush like a library, which I thought that's smart thinking. But
That is.
yeah. It was tricky. They are getting trickier, aren't they? I am being a little bit more cryptic now, aren't I?
You are, which is not doing me any good whatsoever.
No, and despite that, Stu, that doesn't let you off the hook for when it used to be a little bit easier and you still thought that Burnley played at Turf Mill.
Not going to live that down, am I?
Unfortunately, not for you, I'm afraid. But Accrington Stanley this week, thank you very much, Stu. Running out of time here. Tom Beer scored a goal, set up a goal, assisted a goal, lone watch, Gateshead, non-league.
Yeah, he's doing well. That's very bullet point, wasn't it? Gateshead, non-league. He's doing well, actually. Gateshead are sixth at the moment? No, fifth. They're in the last playoff place in the conference. Yeah, fifth. That's what I'm trying to think. They won't go up automatically, isn't it? Yes, they're fifth at the moment. They've crept into they're very much. Tom B must be enjoying it because they're very much doing what we did last year on some great form. They won 2-0 away at Wrexham. Tom B set up the second goal, which is a breakaway, and he squared it for their top goal scorer, if I remember properly. He's doing well there. He's not starting. He's always on the bench, but he's coming on, and their manager was very. Couldn't give him enough praise and said he's been very good. He's obviously playing the game a little bit with them. He's obviously waiting his time. He's got another month of Gateshead, which probably looks like now will be a challenging month. How long we got left now? We've got what? They've probably got left about 9 games. I think conference might be something along the same lines. But you wonder whether he will get the third loan, which would mean then he can probably stay for the rest of the season if they get to the playoffs. And I hope he does well. That's a long way from home to be away for another month, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I can't really disagree or add or take anything away from it. Yes, it's quite a long way to go. But, well.
And also he's learned another language, bless him. Surely.
Yeah, well, I know. Let's not put it that straight with my history of being in Newcastle. Saturday then, Fleetwood Town away. We're not going, are we? For obvious reasons.
No, we're going football, but we're not going to be at Fleetwood.
No. You are going to football.
Sorry?
You're going to football.
I'm going to football. Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Oh, dear. For people that don't know, Nick is my best man at my wedding in a couple of months. And Nick's planned my stag do and unfortunately can't be there for the football. She went back at school on Monday morning.
I have to be back for Monday morning. I can't get out of it.
I know. Well, I'm not, just to be fair, I'm jealous because you're going to Orlando at the latter end of the month. Do you know what I mean? For us.
The reason I can't get any more time off work because I'd already booked a week off for Orlando, so I couldn't really be cheeky and ask for any more.
So, yes, I'll be at New Camp on Sunday evening against Valencia, whilst Nick will be probably watching the football, but from a plane going over to New Camp if the time of the flights is anything to do with it. So that
wouldn't be bad, would it, if I could do that?
No, you can see a New Camp from the plane.
I'll wave to you.
Yeah, I'm sure, to be fair, if we're in a top tier, I probably will be just as close to the plane as it anyway. But yeah, so we're at the we're in Barcelona for the weekend, aren't we? So that should be fun.
That will be good. We're away. The team are away at Fleetwood Town. Yeah, we'll probably lose. And to be honest with you, our season's over now, as far as I'm concerned. We're safe, and we've built Milton Keynes. So really, we're not in any cups. It's all done. It's dusted, over. We might as well call it a day now, Stu. Cancel the podcast. Done. Season over. Go home. Happy days.
But you say that, Joe, what, if we're looking at it, we're sixth in the form table, Fleetwood are top. So it's actually a good game. It should be a good game to watch. So, Joe, I'd love us now just to take that momentum from this game and, we're 11th in the table, game in hand against Rochdale, who are doing really poor at the moment. There's nothing stopping us finishing the top 10, which would be a great season for us.
As long as we finish above a certain other club in this division, then I'm happy.
I think we will.
I think we will as well. It's very difficult for us to look ahead to any games this weekend, isn't it? Because our minds will be elsewhere. But I'm just looking down the fixture list. Nothing particularly stands out. Big relegation 6-pointer, Milton Keynes versus Coventry City. Other than that, Sheffield United Charlton is a match of big clubs, but with a lot different expectations or aspirations for the remainder of the season. Yeah, not the most exciting.
Yeah, I'm just looking through them now, actually. I hadn't had a chance. There's nothing really there, is there?
No. That's what we said. Getting out of League 2 was great for our progress and everything, but in real terms, it's a bit of a boring promotion because the league, you look at it and go, yeah.
Yeah, Coventry obviously got a big say in the relegation side because they play franchise on Saturday and then at home to Port Vale, who've got like about 20 odd games in hand. Slight saturation, they've got about 3 in hand. It'd be nice to see Port Vale win. They're obviously playing as we're recording at the moment, so if they beat Shrewsbury tonight, then it could make it a bit more interesting for. It'd be great. It'd be great if.
Interrupt you. Is that actually happening?
I think so.
I don't see it anywhere.
Oh no, it's Friday.
Friday night. Yeah.
Oh, it's Friday night. Of course it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Why have they on Friday night?
Port Vale sometimes do play on a Friday night. Stoke are at home the next day. Maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know.
Sorry, I saw that it was one fixture, and I thought it must be a midweek fixture. But of course, it's not a midweek fixture. Well, it is. It's a midweek Friday. I don't know. We'll still digress.
Yeah,
but they've got
visually watching.
Yeah, if Port Vale win a games in hand, and it makes it extremely exciting down the bottom, and it could rope in teams like Franchise, Gillingham, those sort of 50 points. I had a quick look, just very quick before we wrap up for the show. I had a quick look, and 50 points would have got you relegated 2 seasons ago. Last year, relegation was 46 points. But in terms of 50 points, we'd only got you relegated in 2 of the last 10 seasons in League One. So I think we're pretty safe.
I think we are safe for this season. And it's probably safe to say that's the end of this week's show. Unless there's anything you want to add, Stu?
No, I'm done.
All done. Good. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone that has been listening. If you haven't yet voted in the British Podcast Listener Choice Award, please do so. Go to www.britishpodcastawards.com and then at the top, vote for your favourite podcast, and you can search for us, click on our name and vote for us and see if we get any form of award. We can hope, Stu, can't we?
Yes, well, I know we've got a few votes already, so we're definitely not going to have no votes going into that, so we will be on a list somewhere as a podcast.
You're listening to the 9 Years podcast on a list of podcasts somewhere. And thank you very much to those of you that have completed our survey that George Jones very nicely put together for us. And did a very good job on that, George, so thank you. If you haven't yet taken part, please do so. tinyurl.com/survey9YRS and have your say on our show there. Very much appreciated. Greatly appreciate those of you that have already done that, so please do that if you have not yet already. Thank you to these fine gentlemen on Twitter @TheseFGentlemen for their track Sorry playing out again this week. There is the best outtake ever from this show at the end of this podcast, so keep listening for that. Otherwise, join us next week. Stu, we're going to be joined by Pete Winkleman and his 5 bodyguards.
Really?
Who else are we going to be joined by? Let's be honest. Maybe Dean Lewington as well. Dean Lewington, Craig Lewington? I don't know. Lewington. We'll see you then.
As I said before, I prefer the films. I found books such a waste of time. I'd rather someone... See, I'm a sort of person that wouldn't read a book, but I'd read an audiobook. Or actually wouldn't read it. I'd listen to an audiobook.
Oh, man. I'm so editing out a lot of that and just putting that either at the start or the very end. Because that is podcast gold. I'd rather read an audiobook.
As you would. The thing is, I make enough mistakes when I'm not tired. What is it going to be like now? I'm just absolutely shattered.
It's the best outtake ever.
It won't be the last either, I'm sure of it.
No, it won't be.
Okay.